Alright, I like to say Barak de Hawa, Barak de Hawa Shah, Barak de Hawa, Barak de Hawa Shah, Bahashem, Rakakadash. Double honesty, apostles and elders of GMS, and salutations to you brothers out there doing this work in truth and sincerity. So, we back with another one. Who is Esau Edom? Going back into the book of Esau Edom Rome. We're going to start back at the preface of Dr. Dr. Ben Naya Yasharel. We're going to start back at the preface of what he was talking about. So we're going to start up at uh, where we left off at. So it says, my investigation of biblical and historical records have found that we can observe these blessings and the fact that they are warmongers as evidence of the identity of Esau Edom, despite many of the descendants of Esau Edom not believing in the Most High Elohim, with many being upright, antagonistic. I believe that's how you say that. Right, antagonistic towards him. They appear to be more blessed uh, by him than any of the other nations on earth. They are the leaders who have enslaved and destroyed Yahweh Shemashah's people, yet they appear to have it all. So let me grab that in the scriptures, right? Get that in the scriptures. It says Ezekiel 25 and 12, thus saith the Lord power, because that Edom have dealt against the house of Judah by taking vengeance, and have greatly offended and revenged himself upon them. Thus saith the Lord power, I will also stretch out my hand upon Edom, and will cut off man and beast from it, and I will make it desolate. From Teman and day of the den shall fall by the sword. So real quick, this is the book of Amos. Chapter, what is that? Let me see here. This is Amos 1 and 11. And it says, thus saith the Lord, for 3 transgressions of Edom, and for 4 I will not turn away the punishment thereof, because he did pursue his brother with a sword, and did cast off all pity, and his anger did tear perpetually, and he kept his wrath forever. So this is Ezekiel 35 and 5. Ezekiel chapter 35 and 5. Because thou hast had a perpetual hatred, and have shed the blood of the children of Israel by the force of the sword, in the time of their calamity, and the time that their iniquity had an end. Therefore, as I live, saith the Lord power, I will prepare thee unto blood, and blood shall pursue thee. Saith thou hast not hated blood, even blood shall pursue thee. So this is going back into the book of Genesis 27 and 41. And it says, and Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing wherewith his father blessed him. And Esau said in his heart, the days of mourning for my father are at hand, then would I slay my brother Jacob. So going back here, and it says, they appear to be more blessed by him than any of the other nations on earth. They are the leaders who have enslaved and destroyed Yahweh Shemashah's people, yet they appear to have it all. They have led Israel into several captivities, with the final enslavement lasting for almost 400 years. The Tigrims of On Kalos An Arabic translation of the Torah offers commentary on Genesis 15:12-14, confirming the prophecy concerning this fact. Yahweh Shem Shah told Abraham, and he said unto Abram, knowing thou must know that thy son shall dwell in the land not their own, because thou hast not believed, and they shall subjugate and afflict them 400 years, and also that the people whom thou shalt serve I will judge with 250 plagues, and afterwards they shall go forth unto liberty with great riches. What is that scripture I was thinking about? Psalms chapter 106 and 30 verse 31, 2 and 3 will tell you the same thing. And when you go into the book of what is that real quick? I think that's in Psalms. Let me get it real quick. Alright. Salakia, let me get it real quick. This is Psalms chapter 106 verse 42, and it says, their enemies. Matter of fact, let me start at 41. Salakia. 40. Therefore was the wrath of the Lord kindled against his people, and so much he abhorred his own inheritance. And he gave them into the hands of the heathen, and they that hated them ruled over them. Their enemies also oppressed them, and they were brought into subjection under their hand, man. So we was brought into subjection under the hands of our enemies, man. You know, putting a yoke of iron, being hung, you know, and many things besides that. This is what is that? Salakia, I'm trying to get the scripture real quick. Right, so this is Jeremiah 30 and 16. It says, therefore all they that devoured them shall be devoured, and all thine adversaries, every one of them shall go into captivity, and they that spoil thee shall be spoiled, and all that prey upon thee will I give for a prey, man. So let's go back to this. And it says, where was I? I'll just start here. It says, confirming the prophecy concerning this fact, Yahweh Bashem Shah told Abram, and he said to Abram, knowing thou must know that thou sons shall dwell, thou sons shall dwell in the land not their own, because thou hast not believed, and they will subjugate and afflict them 400 years, and also that the people whom they serve, whom they shall serve, I will judge with 250 plagues, and afterwards they shall go forth unto liberty with great riches. Yahweh Shem Shah too reminded the Judeans of the things that would happen to them as they lived in the last of their days. In Judea, before the Roman wars against them, Edom, Rome destroyed millions of Israelites and sent millions more into slavery and exile. As my research will show that the people called Africans living on the continent of Africa are all Hebrew Israelites, exiled there by Edom, Rome. The children of these descendants is exile will go into captivity at the hand of Edom, Rome. Now, that's one thing too. That's why you got to be careful when you read these books. He said right here, he said Edom, Rome destroyed millions of the Israelites and sent million more unto slavery and exile. As my research will show that the people called Africans living on the continent of Africa are all Hebrews, Hebrew Israelites. That's wrong. Not every person that's living in Africa are all Hebrew Israelites. You have Hamites that live in Africa, man. You know, those that came out of the land of Ham. So that's one thing he got wrong in here. He got wrong. Uh, he got this wrong, man. So and like I say, Salakia, let me see something. And like I say, always be careful. When reading these books, because some things in there could be wrong. So let's keep going. And it says, exiled there by Edom, Rome, the children of these descendants in exile will go into captivity at the hand of Edom, Rome. Because during the Roman prosecution in 70 AD, you had about 1 million Jews, which were those of the southern kingdom, Salakia, that fled into Africa. So, and before they went unto Africa, you had Hamites that was dwelling there, man. It tells you that, man, when you read the book of Babylon Timbuktu, man. So it says, later in history, many of the children of these exiled Israelites will be taken on slave ships to the America. Going back into Deuteronomy 28 and 68. Let's grab that real quick. And I know we brought that before, but let's just get it again. This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 68, and it says, and the Lord shall bring thee unto Egypt again with ships. Now, is it talking about actual Egypt, the land of Egypt? No, man. It's talking about bondage. Going back into Exodus 20 and 2. This is Exodus chapter 20, verse 2, and it says, I am the Lord thy power, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. So that's bondage, man. So going back to this, Deuteronomy 28:68, and the Lord shall bring thee unto bondage again with ships, by the way that whereof I spake unto thee, thou shalt not see it no more again, which is Israel. And there ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you, man. So that's what that's talking about, man. That's what that's talking about. And it says, later in history, many of the children of these exiled Israelites will be taken on slave ships to the Americas, and they shall fall by the edge of the sword, and shall be led away captive. Yeah, that's Luke 21 and 20. He got 24. He got it there. Unto all nations in Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles, which the context of the Gentiles here is those that are outside of the children of Israel, which are actually heathens, until the times of the Gentiles be fulfilled. Luke 21:24. The time of Edom, Rome's rule is nearing the end, and the Gentiles spoken of are the people of Esau, Edom, and their conspirators who occupy the land of Palestine. Palestine, named by Rome for the Palestinians, is the homeland of the true descendants of Israel, whom Edom, Rome expelled almost 2,000 years ago. The historical evidence shows and concludes that Edom, Rome has been the instigators of all the wicked acts perpetrated against the inhabitants of Israel, why they pretend to be a holy nation. And right, because these nations, they have come against us, and the scriptures tell you that. Right, so this is the book of Psalms, chapter 2, verse 2. It says, the kings of the earth set themselves, and the rulers take counsel together against the Lord and against his anointed. Right, so they come together against the Lord's people. And we just read that, going back into his preference. He pretty much going into the same thing here, man. Because he said, named by Rome for the Palestinians, is the homeland of the true descendants of Israel, whom Edom, Rome expelled almost 2,000 years ago. The historical evidence shows and concludes that Edom, Rome has been the instigators of all the wicked acts perpetrated against the inhabitants of Israel while they pretend to be a holy nation. All the same, this is the will of the highest, and Edom Rome can do nothing except it be of the Father Yahweh Shem El Shai. That's right, the book of Daniel, chapter 8, verse 24. It says, when can resist his will? Salakia. It says, one can resist his will. Edom Rome has tried to revive and change the evidence to make it appear that either these events have already taken place or they are being fulfilled by the impostors, the Jewish people living in the land of Palestine. Right? Which that's exactly what they are. They're a bunch of fakes, man. They're not the true Israelites. The true Israelites are here in captivity, man. Right? So this is the book of let me get it, Salaki. Oh man. Salaki, man, I lost it. I lost it, man. Alright, Salakia. I'm gonna keep going on this. It says the historical evidence shows and concludes that Edom Rome has been the instigators of all the wicked acts perpetrated against the inhabitants of Israel while they pretend to be a holy nation. All the same, this is the will of the highest, and Edom can do nothing except to be of the Father Yahweh Shem El Shai. So real quick, let me get this. This is I believe it came back to mine. So let me get this. Right? Because nothing this devil does is of his own. What he's doing is he's doing the will of the Most High, ultimately. So this is Daniel chapter 8, verse 24, and it says, and his power shall be mighty, but not by his own power, and he shall destroy wonderfully, and shall prosper in practice, and shall destroy the mighty destroy the mighty and the holy people, man. So it says here, all the same, this is the will of the highest, and Edom Rome can do nothing except it be of the Father Yahweh Shem El Shai, as no one can resist his will. Edom Rome has tried to revive and change the evidence to make it appear that either these events have already taken place or they are being fulfilled by the impostors. Jewish people living in the land of Palestine today, but tricks and schemes will not cause Yahweh Shem El Shai to grant Edom Rome salvation, because the word and the will of Yahweh Shem El Shai cannot change, as he is not a liar. Therefore he asks, why do the heathen rage and the people imagine a vain thing? The kings of the earth set Yahweh Shem El Shai and against his anointed, saying, let us break their bands asunder and cast away their cords from us. He that sitteth in the heaven shall laugh. Yahweh Shem El Shai shall have them in derision, man. It says the word of Yahweh Shem El Shai will accomplish what he says. Esau, Edom, and Rome, and the fake Jewish people, and all those associated with the Babylonian system shows in scriptures and history. It is essential to understand the events that will take place in these last days, as it revealed the identity of Esau, who is Edom, and Rome. And like he said all these things that the Lord has spoken of shall come to pass. Right, so let me grab this real quick. And there's also something I wanted to go back to that I read over as well. So let me grab this real quick. This is book of Joshua. This is the book of Joshua, chapter 20. Like 21 verse 45. It says, there fell not aught of any good thing which the Lord hath spoken unto the house of Israel. All came to pass. So all things that are spoken of by Yahweh Shem El Shai have come to pass. So also when you go here to the book of Jeremiah, let me get that real quick. think that's Jeremiah 23 and 20. This is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 23, verse 20, and it says, "The anger of the Lord shall not return until he have executed, until he have performed the thoughts of his heart. In the latter days ye shall consider it perfectly." And there's also one in Ezekiel chapter, 12 verse, Ezekiel 12 and 25. And it says, "For I am the Lord, I will speak, and the word that I shall speak shall come to pass. It shall be no more prolonged, for in your days, O rebellious house, will I say the word, and will perform it, saith the Lord power." Man, so all of the things that are spoken of by Yahweh Shemel Shah will come to pass. So that's something also I missed that I went back to, was this here. It says, "But tricks and schemes," and this is in the preface in this book, going back into Esau Edom Rome. So I'm going to go back up here real quick. It says, "But tricks and schemes will not cause Yahweh Shemel Shah to grant Edom, Rome, salvation." And that's going here into the book of Hebrews. You know what I'm about to grab. Let me get it real quick. This is the book of Hebrews, chapter 12, verse 16. And it says, "Lest there be any fornicator or profane person as Esau, who for one morsel of meat sold his birthright. For ye know how that afterwards, when he would have inherited the blessing, he was rejected. For he found no place of repentance, though he sought it carefully with tears." So there's no repentance coming back to these devils. So that's what I wanted to get right there. But I'm going to go back. I'm going to jump back down to what he said here. So it says, Yahweh Shemel Shah shall have them in derision. And it says, Psalms 2, 1 and 4. "The word of Yahweh Shemel Shah will accomplish what he says. Esau, Edom, and Rome, and the fake Jewish people, and all those associated with the Babylonian system shown in the scriptures and history, it is essential to understand the events that will take place in these last days. As it revealed the identity of Esau, who is Edom and Rome, the scriptures show the identity of Esau, Edom, and makes it possible to recognize who they are as it describes them. But I have made Esau bare. I have uncovered his secret parts. Salakit places, and he shall not be able to hide himself. His seed is spoiled, and his brethren and his neighbors, and he is not." Jeremiah 49:10. And it says, "The evidence will show that Esau has tried to hide among other nations, as they have become a diverse people, even claiming to be the descendants of Jacob Israel, while also destroying the people who descend from Jacob Israel. The prophet Daniel in the book of Revelations tells of the fourth kingdom to rule over the people Israel. They identify them as the fourth beast, and this research will prove that Esau Edom is that fourth beast system ruling today, just before Yahweh Shemel Shah returns. Thus he said, the fourth beast shall be the fourth kingdom upon the earth, which shall be diverse from all kingdoms, and shall devour the whole earth, and shall tread it down and break it in pieces." Daniel 7:23. This book follows the sequential Bible history of Esau, along with the authentic scholar history that helps in substantiating the truth. I have informed the reader with evidence I corroborated with 2 or more witnesses. However, some information available conflicted with the scriptural account. Thus, it became necessary to delve deeper into the history. It was a painstaking process, but the completed picture emerged where the reader will identify who the true descendants of Esau are in the earth today, and who the true Hebrew Israelites are also. Whereas Edom said, we are impoverished, but we will return and build their desolate places. Thus saith Yahweh Shema Shah of hosts, they shall build, but I will throw down, and they shall call them the border of wickedness, and the people against whom Yahweh Shema Shah have indignation forever. Malachi 1 and 4. So I'm gonna go ahead and stop it from there. But like I said, also, man, when you're reading into these books, you also got to be careful with what you read in, man, because some things in these books go off. You know, some of the breakdowns that these dudes try to do go off. I mean, you can see that because they go off on the name. He said all people in Africa was Hebrew Israelites. I mean, come on, man. You know, you got to be able to break these things down correctly. And what happens is that you got these dudes who sit up here and study the Bible, and they try to study the Bible. They get a lot of things right, but they get a lot of things wrong, man. But you got to be careful with reading these books and going into these books to do a video on. But other than that, man, I'm going to end it back. Until next time, I'm going to say Barak Yahweh, Barak Yahweh Shah, Barak Yahweh, Barak Yahweh Shah, Bahashem Rakakadash. Double honesty, apostles and elders of GMS. Salutations to you brothers out there doing this work of truth sincerity. I like to say Muwathla Bible, which is death of Babylon. And Lord willing, this was edifying for you brothers out there that's doing this work of truth sincerity. I like to say Shalom.